Good afternoon and welcome to everyone to this free webinar organized by Doxity in collaboration with Syracuse University Whitman School of Management. I'm Vittoria, and on behalf of Doxia, I welcome you and thank you very much for connecting with us today and to take this fantastic opportunity to know this fantastic university. We are expecting people from different countries. For that reason, if you want, you can leave a greeting in the chat and write to us from which country you are connecting, that we will love to know. For those who are connecting, as I said, welcome and thank you to be here with us today. My name is Vittoria, and on behalf of Doxity, I welcome you to this free webinar in collaboration with Syracuse University Whitman School of Management. And I ask you to be with us a few minutes to wait for the other to connect. In the meantime, if you want, you can leave a greeting in the chat and write us from which country you are connecting, that we are curious. At the end, we are going to have a question and answer section. For that reason, I ask you to write your question in the chat or in the Q&A box. And at the end, I'm also going to provide a certificate of attendance for this webinar. And today we have an excellent panelist who came to represent Syracuse University Whitman School of Management. We are here with Sri Ramanshinskan. I don't know if I said it correct. Sorry, Sri.
It's a long name, that's fine.
Who is Assistant Director, Graduate Recruitment. And now we are going to start this free webinar entitled Graduate Program Offerings at Syracuse University Whitman School of Management, where we are going to discover this fantastic opportunity for you. So now, Shri, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. As always, it is my pleasure to collaborate with Doxity on yet another information session. So I'm just going to start by sharing my screen. Okay, and please let me know when you're able to see the webinar. I'm sorry, able to see the presentation. Yes? Okay. All right. So I'm representing Syracuse University's Whitman School of Management, which is one of the many colleges that are at Syracuse University. So today's topic is specific to the graduate program offerings at the Whitman School of Management. So essentially business school programs. So let's see what we have. And this is to just give us like a little direction about how I'm going to navigate through this presentation. So I'm going to take you through a little introduction for Syracuse University and Whitman School of Management, the specializations that we offer, how you should think about choosing the right program, whether it is the right degree program for you as you think about your career trajectory. Because you have to understand a graduate program is supposed to be an advanced degree. So it has to advance you from where you currently are and take you further towards your professional goals, right? And also after discussing about that and providing information about the various program offerings, I want to give you a few tips on how to prepare your application and what scholarship we offer, and take it from there and answer any questions that you might have. So these are some pictures of our beautiful campus. As you can see, there is a picture with snow. For a long time, Syracuse University has usually been known only by its snow, but of course, these days, in the last few years, I want to say it's not been that bad. So it's really just chilly, but not so bad with the snow. It's manageable. So if you're coming from a location where you don't see a lot of snow, don't be scared. There are ways to navigate this buildings are climate controlled, so you shouldn't really have any problems. But otherwise, as you can see, it's a beautiful campus. Just walking around on campus is a joy. And I hope by the end of this presentation, you will choose to consider our university and the Whitman School of Management for your professional reasons and aspirations. So here's more pictures, and this top left corner, this is our mascot, Otto. And as you can see, our colors are typically orange and blue because, as we like to say at Syracuse, we bleed orange. So, okay, so now coming to the Whitman School of Management, this is a picture of our building. So this top right corner, the image that you see, this is the external view of our building. This building was built in 2005, environmentally sustainable building. And of course, on the inside, you see this main entrance to what is over here, the glass view. That's the inside you're seeing over here in the second picture at the bottom. And it has our various values and mission values demonstrated here through these banners. So the Whitman School of Management is the 16th collegiate school to be accredited by the AACSB organization, which is one of the accreditation organizational bodies for business schools across the world. One of the USPs that we offer and we are very proud of at Whitman is the combination of offering small class sizes, but with the resources of a large multicultural, multinational university. So you get the best of both worlds because you are going to be in classrooms where your cohort size is not going to be too big that you don't know everybody. By the same token, it is also not so small that you will feel like the spotlight is only on you, right? So you get the best of both worlds in terms of it's a balanced enough cohort that everybody gets to know each other, and then the faculty and the students also have great interactions, but you also get to explore the resources of a larger university. State-of-the-art learning facility, of course, ours is a green building. As I said, it's an environmentally sustainable building, promotes lifelong learning, and is a very student-focused environment. And we've had some recent innovations and changes in the building per se, but everything focused towards enhancing the learning environment. So moving on to the programs that we offer, initially in the title slide, I showed you that we offer two types of degree programs: specialized masters, which are also known as the professional master's programs, and the MBA. So typically with business schools, the MBA has been a long-standing offering at business schools around the world. And it's usually business schools are known primarily for the MBA, but the MBA is not the only degree that business schools offer. So we also offer what are called specialized master's programs, which are a recent innovation in business school or grad management education landscape, right? So these are programs, I want to say, that developed maybe in the last 20, 25 years, wherein they are offered as specialized concentrations of study, specifically to address gaps in skill sets that employers might be seeking in the marketplace. So they are of shorter duration, can be typically completed within 1 year, but it offers, unlike the MBA, an in-depth area of focus, so in a specialized area of study. So the curriculum, therefore, would be very structured, so you would have fewer electives, but then it would be intensive coursework. The internship opportunity might be allowed after a year of study, could be built into the program flexibility, completion flexibility, which is one of the things that we offer at Syracuse. And work experience is typically not required for entry into these programs, but we will consider a certain amount if you have, an early career candidate, you have under 3 years of work experience, you would still be eligible to come into this program. But primarily, you want to decide on choosing whether the MS program is right for you or the MBA program is right for you, depending on how you see either program taking you towards your career goals, okay? And if you have questions, we can talk about it towards the end in the Q&A session. So these programs are typically ideal for entering the job market sooner and gaining some work experience, especially if you are an early career candidate, like a fresh graduate, or you have just about 6 months to a year of work experience, right? So by having that in-depth area of study in a particular field, for example, business analytics or supply chain management, then you get to work in that particular industry or in that particular functional area and recognize whether this is the area in which you want to build a career, or are you just testing out different jobs and then decide, well, this is not what I want to do, right? So it's a good option for gaining that specialized area of study and then moving into the marketplace. In contrast, what is an MBA program? The duration of the program would depend on the type of program. So MBAs, you have different program options available. There might be full-time 1-year MBA, 2-year MBA. There's something called executive MBA. You might have heard of that, which is more for senior candidates with over 10 years of work experience. There might be online modalities offering you the option to complete your MBA while you are continuing to work. For our purposes, for today's presentation, I will focus specifically on the full-time MBA offering. So in contrast to the specialized masters that we just talked about, the MBA is more of broader focus that addresses all aspects of management, because you want to understand all aspects of business, how a business is run, right? But you would have specializations and concentrations in specific areas. So where in the specialized masters, you're just studying more about the concentration area and understanding a little bit of business foundations. In the MBA, you would have equal or somewhat equivalent focus or attention given to understanding the general aspects of business. So you get the breadth of study, but also having the opportunity to build your depth of skill sets in one particular area. So internships are typically recommended during the summer months. So ours is a 2-year MBA. So therefore, between years 1 and 2, we strongly urge our students to get a summer internship. Typically, 2 years of work experience is recommended, not always required. Again, it depends on what your career goal is and whether this particular degree program is going to be the right fit degree to take you towards that career goal, right? It's ideal for preparing for a career in general business or a specialized area. Sometimes senior candidates or those with a few years of work experience in a particular field will use the MBA to pivot into a different career trajectory or enter a different functionality area. So you could have somebody, for instance, who's been, working in a particular industry, perhaps, for a few years, and then recognizing that they want to now get into a management-related role and not be so tied into their skill sets focused role, and therefore they might use the MBA to switch into a more management-oriented industry or role in their same industry, okay? So I have a link over here for a reference article that would just give you some idea into, sharing this MBA MS. And so I can provide this link later, perhaps in the chat as well. But moving on, I'm going to talk a little bit about the specializations that we offer. So one of the things that you'll notice here is this little asterisk. And if you're not familiar with what STEM designated means, I can address this briefly as well. But these are the specializations that we do offer at Whitman. So accounting, business analytics, entrepreneurship, finance, marketing management, real estate, and supply chain management. So some of these, well, pretty much all of these, except for real estate, are offered both as specialized master's degree programs. So MS in finance, MS in entrepreneurship, MS in business analytics, and so on and so forth, but also as a specialization within the MBA. Okay. So how does that matter, or how does that play out? So let's see. So within the MBA, these are the specializations, as we just looked at on the previous slide, but it's a 2-year program with 54 credits. Remember how I said in the beginning, the specialized master's programs are shorter duration and they are more intensive. So here, the MBA spread out over 2 years, you have 54 credits to complete. You have to complete 36 core credits. So this will give you the introduction to the general management component that you would learn about the breadth of various aspects of business, right? And then 18 specialization credits, and you can pick from these specializations that are here on the right side, but you would decide whether you want to complete all 18 credits in one specialization, or whether you want to choose more than one specialization and perhaps stay with 2. Typically, you need 9 credits to be a full-time student. And so the 9 credits would also count towards building a specialization. So if you want to have 2 specializations, then you should have 9 credits in each specialization related to that particular specialization, including what might be a core for that particular specialization. Okay. The other option we offer is 9 credits from other graduate programs. So how does this play out? For example, let's say somebody is coming in with an interest in forming a specialization in business analytics, and therefore you're doing 9 credits over here with business analytics. But then you don't want to do a second specialization from within these offerings at Whitman, but you have a background in or an interest in public policy, you have an interest in engineering management, you have an interest in understanding some aspects of law. So you are allowed to take up to 9 credits from other graduate programs on campus. The only caveat to this is that the particular class that you want to take from whichever school on campus it's offered should allow students from other schools to join that course. For example, I mentioned law. So the College of Law might have coursework which is specific to students who are pursuing a law degree. So if the course is not open to non-law students, you may not be able to take that class. But there might be some classes that are open to everybody for general interest. And so once that is available, you are free to enroll in that course. So up to 9 credits you can take from other grad programs on campus. Merit scholarships, and we'll discuss scholarships again on another slide. But I want to talk about some innovations that we offer at Syracuse, which is, went away too fast. Okay, that we've introduced recently. One of these residencies. So these were typically an offering in our online program, but now we've made it available to our full-time students as well. It could be limited number. You would essentially have the opportunity to travel to either a US location or an international location along with a faculty member to attend what could be a week-long intensive immersion type of coursework. Now, this could be along the lines of an business exploration kind of a trip. So you're learning about businesses in different economies and different countries by going to that particular location and then having either seminars or guest speakers or, short stint courses that you would be completing in those locations. So you're essentially learning in the environment in which this particular, in a different economy. For example, there have been residencies, for instance, to Seoul in South Korea. So it's been a week-long residency, and then the students have the option of extending for a few more days if they want to do the cultural component of the trip. So for the business exploration part, there would be visits to companies and meetings with senior management. And so this is something that was only offered to online students in the past, but this has now been opened up to full-time students. But again, it's a limited number, right? Because it has to tie in with the availability in the semester courses for full-time students. So there's not a lot of leeway. Sometimes these residencies could be in US locations. And again, depending on the timing, full-time students are invited to apply. There are specific courses that you can complete in New York City at one of Syracuse University properties in New York City. And these would be intense, really intense level courses that you are completing a semester's worth of content within a few weeks. So be prepared for that. The WIRE initiative is a new innovation, again, wherein it stands for Whitman Industry Readiness and Excellence. And this WIRE initiative essentially is an innovation from the dean's office at Whitman that encourages students to complete relevant certifications, professional certifications that might be available to them for demonstrating their competence when they, graduate and enter the marketplace, that it would be advantageous for them to have the certification, but it's cost prohibitive. So you would apply for this WIRE scholarship, and once you are, of course, matriculated into the program, not as a prospect, but you have to be an admitted student in one of the MBA or MS degree programs. And then you could apply for the scholarship to take advantage, and the school will pay the cost for you to be able to complete the particular certification and take the exam. And there are other career center exploration trips to other cities or locations. For instance, there was recently a trip to the West Coast, to Silicon Valley, and meeting with recruiters in different companies on the West Coast of the US. And so there might be opportunities that way, which are specific and organized by the Career Center on a need basis. It essentially dictated by the cohort and the specializations that students are choosing, right? So for the full-time MS programs, I just want to touch upon it briefly. Again, the specializations are the same, except for real estate is not offered in MS. But the thing that I want to point out here is most of our MS programs are 30 credit duration, but except for business analytics, which is 36 credits. So therefore, the flexible duration plays out a little differently. So this flexible duration is we don't decide how quickly or when you should complete your program. We give you 3 choices, essentially. You can complete in 9 months, which is not counting the summer of 3 months. So it would be a 1-year component or a 16-month component, which is 3 semesters, not counting the summer, and then 21 months, which is, again, 4 semesters without counting summer. So 2 years. So for business analytics, though, this duration would play out as 16, 16, 21. So now, what does this mean by 9, 16, 21, 16, 16, 21 with or without internship credits? So these internship credits can be completed in the summer. So you could either choose to complete the program in 1 year and no internship, 16 months with an internship in the summer, 21 months with or without an internship in the summer. For 36 credits, the MSBA, you could complete 16 months is the minimum time frame to complete this program, so 3 semesters. You could either do it with an internship opportunity in the summer or without an internship opportunity in the summer. Okay, so the internship opportunity, of course, is found by the student. So you're going to seek your internship. You will receive assistance from the Career Center, but we don't actually place you there. So let's talk a little bit about how to prepare your application. So here's an application checklist. Some aspects that I want to go over. There's an online application and you have a $75 non-refundable application fee. There is the requirement of one application essay. I would suggest that you limit yourself to 750 words and not write a statement of purpose. It's amazing to see how many people just write a random statement of purpose that doesn't really address the purpose of why you are going to graduate school or applying to the particular degree program. Just randomly talking about yourself doesn't help. It's not a personal statement. There is a specific essay question. Try and focus and limit your response in 750 words to answer that particular question. There are 2 letters of recommendation that are required, and we usually suggest that you talk to your recommenders ahead of time and give them enough time to be able to prepare their letters and submit by the deadline, by the application deadline. The unofficial copies of your transcripts, so you just submit them. In some cases, which I will show you on the website, there might be situations where your degree program may not be equivalent to a US bachelor's degree. And in those cases, we will require an official credential evaluation report from one of the credential evaluation agencies. A 1-page business resume. If you are not familiar with how to write this, then try and look on the internet for an American-styled business resume. So business resume is slightly different from a CV. So you want to make sure that you have your educational and your professional aspirations, and well, not so much aspirations, but your responsibilities actually listed out. Those of you who don't have work experience, if you have internship experience, you want to list that content out. So take a look, and you can always reach out if you have additional questions on that, or we can even touch upon it in the Q&A session. The video component, this is only for the MS programs, not the MBA program applicants. It is not required, but I would strongly encourage you to consider recording your responses to the 3 questions via video. Utilize it as an opportunity to showcase your language competencies. Utilize it as an opportunity to demonstrate your interest in the program instead of writing another essay. This is a modality that we offer wherein you could show why you're interested in applying to this program, to one of the MS programs. Official score reports from standardized tests. So GMAT or GRE, these are not required. They're optional for Fall 25, but we strongly recommend them. The English proficiency test scores, some countries, of course, are exempted because you're native speakers, but otherwise we accept the TOEFL, the IELTS, or Duolingo. So some tips to prepare your application. There are 4 rounds of application deadlines, and I think it comes up in the next slide, but prepare a compelling candidacy rather than just putting something together in a very rushed manner. Because when your application is received and the committee evaluates your application, and as they're reading through stuff, they can tell this was not a very well thought out application. It will impact your candidacy. So you want to prepare a compelling candidacy rather than a very quick rushed one, so that you are demonstrating aspects of yourself which may not be necessarily written components of the application, right? So an application is utilized for understanding your actual competencies, educational competencies, and your professional aspirations. But the way you present your application also gives an insight into what type of candidate you are, right? So take some time, prepare multiple drafts before you submit the final application essay, get everything together before you hit submit. So don't be in a rush. Incomplete applications will only delay the review process. So you want to, again, be mindful. Answer the question prompt. Don't write a generic essay. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard from admissions committees that the essay made no sense because it was not appropriate to the question that was asked. So spend some time. I know different universities may have different requirements, and therefore it will be your responsibility to make sure that you are submitting the right content for the particular program and university that you're applying for, right? So review the website, highlight specific aspects of the website that resonate with you, because we want to understand why you really want to come to us as opposed to go somewhere else. So help us understand that. Connect the dots for us. Don't make us assume and try to do extra work to pretend maybe this is why you're coming. Maybe that is why you're coming. No, tell us very clearly why you want to come to Whitman. Why is Whitman useful? And in that same way, if you've had any conversations with Whitman representatives or with current students or alumni, reference that. It's useful. It's not going to be a negative for you. Okay. So these are the application deadlines. We've introduced the 4th round deadline this year, which is actually early. So November 15, Jan 15, March 15, April 15. Easy to remember because it's the 15th. Just keep track of the months. This, I wanted to include here, this comment that applications must include supporting documents in order to be considered complete. So what do I mean by this? If you complete the online application, but you have not uploaded your resume, you have not uploaded your unofficial transcripts, we have not received any letters of recommendation, your official test score has not come in, but you have submitted an unofficial test score report, then your application is not complete. It will just sit there in the incomplete pile. It will not move to committee for review. Okay, so make sure you submit everything and upload all the relevant documentation in order for your application to be considered complete and ready for review. So some tips continuing on this, letters of recommendation. This is a common question that I have heard over the many years that I've been in this role, that should I pick a letter, should I pick a recommender who has a high title in the organization where I work? Well, sure, you can, but if that person doesn't know anything about you, then they're going to give a very generic letter saying, so-and-so is an employee of my company. Is that really what you want? Just someone stating that? We're not looking for that type of a letter, right? So choose your recommender carefully. Give them enough time to prepare the letter. Designation doesn't necessarily matter as much as the relationship with the candidate, because we want to understand in what capacity did you work. So is it a project supervisor? Is it a supervisor who was your internship supervisor? Be careful. Do not submit letters from your peers. So if I want to apply to a program and then I ask my colleague who is another assistant director, because that is my current title, and I ask another colleague to write a letter for me, that's not what we're looking at, because that person can only comment on the activities that they are engaged with me on a day-to-day basis. They cannot comment as a supervisor on other things that I do, right? So refrain from that. Did I skip over something? Yes. Financial documents. Be sure, if possible, that you submit them along with the application, just because it helps mitigate delay in processing. But if not, we understand that, yes, you will be able to submit them after you receive an admissions decision. So financial documents are not required to make an admissions decision. It is more along the lines of, if you're an international student, to delay the processing of various other documents, which is you have to receive your I-20 paperwork. You won't receive your I-20 paperwork unless your financial documents have been reviewed and approved. So therefore, submitting them along with your application helps, truncate the processing time. For Fall 24, Spring 25, we are a private university, so we charge tuition per credit hour. The cost per credit hour is $19.45. So be mindful of this, because, like I said, this is for Fall 24, Spring 25. Every year in the summer, we get the updated costs per credit for the following year, okay? So don't just assume this is going to be for the entire duration of your study. It typically is like a 3 to 5% increase. Fee waivers, typically we don't offer them, but some exceptions can be considered. If you've taken the GMAT test, the old format of the test, which is no longer available, if you had scored a 640, then or higher, we might consider you for an app fee waiver, or if you've got a GRE 320 or higher. In the new scoring format for GMAT, the equivalent of a 640 would be 595. So the concordant score. So if you've got a 595 or higher, we could consider you, as long as you send us the PDF of the test taker score report, and then also show us that you're uploading, you've requested the official score report to be sent to the university. So I want to highlight something here very clearly. If you send us the two things that I actually want to point out, if you send us the unofficial copy of your test taker score report in order to request a fee waiver, and your fee waiver is granted, but you do not send us the official score report, keep in mind, without the official score report, we will not be able to take it into account for scholarship consideration and admission purposes as well. So an unofficial GRE or a GMAT score report will only get you potentially an application fee waiver if you meet this criteria, but it may not assist you in the admissions decision because it may not be considered for review. If you want your score to be considered for review, we must receive an official score report. Okay? Now, by the same token, if you have already indicated Syracuse University to receive your test score report, but for whatever reason you didn't do very well on the test and you don't want it to be considered, once we receive your score, we cannot delete it. So prepare well for your exam before you take it, and then be mindful of the consequences that would happen, whether you submit the score or don't submit the score. Okay. Scholarship information. So this is very straightforward. We offer only partial scholarships, but they're only based on merit. They're not based on need. And they're considered for all applicants. So we consider you for, with the same criteria for application. Once we receive your materials, we consider you for admission as well as for merit scholarship. There is no separate application required for scholarship, no separate application deadline. It's automatic consideration based on the admissions criteria. And typically, you get awarded a merit scholarship based on the strength of your candidacy. So this is another reason why you should think about whether you want to take a GMAT or a GRE exam, because that score will essentially also assist you, right? Why? Because remember how initially I said it's not required, but it's strongly recommended. So think about it in terms of if there are 5 people applying to something and one of the criteria happens to be this is not required, 4 people decide it's not required, I'm not going to submit that document, and then one person decides, well, I want to differentiate myself from the crowd, therefore I will submit the document, then it's not that the other 4 will not get evaluated, but the person who did submit the document with the test score, you will be evaluated as an additional document that has come with your candidacy, and so it will be taken into account. So with that, I will open it up to questions right now. So I will stop sharing my screen here. Vittoria, back to you. Looks like there are quite a few questions.
Yeah, I read a few questions in the Q&A box. I would like to thank you for your interesting presentation and also for the interesting insight and tips for the application.
Sure.
And now we are going to start this Q&A section with the first question about what are the application deadline for international students? Are they different from those for the other students?
No. So the 4 deadlines that I shared, November 15th, which is coming up, January 15th, March 15th and April 15th. These will be the same deadlines across the board. The only time you will see that there is a difference in deadlines on our website is if you're applying for spring term, but for fall, there is no difference. Everybody applies for the same.
Thank you, Shri. And another question is about the application essay. Are English grammar errors going to penalize my application essay?
Yeah. Straightforward answer. It's more along the lines of, nobody's perfect. We do understand that. And when you're preparing an application essay, you are in the midst of doing a lot of different things. It can be a little stressful, which is why I recommend doing multiple drafts, right? So you want to keep in mind that if there's maybe one random typo, or I make typos when I just noticed a typo in my own presentation slide here. So don't let that throw you off. That's not what we're going to penalize you on. Consistently, some of the things I've noticed, if you write the same, again, this is why I say don't write the same statement of purpose, answer to the question. Sometimes people will write a generic statement of purpose for a different school and try to use the same essay, and they will not change the name of the school. Or the name of my own institution, it is Whitman School of Management. It's not Whitman College. It's not Whitman. It is not W-I-T. It's W-H-I-T. Little things like these matter because it shows whether you've actually paid attention to the website and looked at the materials, or you're just writing something put together very rushed, right? And then if you're, I've been in this role for about 11 years now. I will tell you, I've seen quite a few instances where people will start writing something, lose their train of thought, and forget to delete the sentence. So there are incomplete sentences. So don't get stressed. Write a draft essay initially and then revise the essay before you submit. Have someone read it through or look it through before you submit. So don't get so stressed writing an application essay that, just because you're causing yourself that stress, you forget and make errors. So some errors, it's okay. It's natural. We're all human. Typos are not going to be the end of you, but certain glaring mistakes, if you make, yes, that will cost you your candidacy.
Thank you. Another question is, do you offer any English language course to support a non-native English speaker?
Well, there might be something that is offered through the university, but typically to get admission into Whitman, you should have demonstrated the minimum score requirements on the English proficiency tests. So if you take a TOEFL, we need a minimum score of 100. If you do Duolingo, I believe it is 130. If you do IELTS, the minimum score band is 7. So we would like to see an English proficiency test score before you come in. We don't offer you the conditional admission of like coming in and then going to attend English classes. No, we don't offer that support.
Okay, thank you. Another question is about the letter of recommendation. One question is, can a professor from my previous university write the letter?
Sure, but depends on when you attended the university.
Okay.
That's the tricky part, isn't it? We maintain good relationships with the professors, but if we've been out of university for, even if it's been 3 years, 6 years, I definitely do not recommend anybody who's been who's graduated 5, 6 years ago to go get a letter from your professor, unless you are working very closely on a research project or something with them. Because think about it. 5 years ago, you were a student. They remember you as that. They don't remember you, or not remember. They will not be able to comment effectively on the competencies you have acquired in your professional life after graduation. right? And that's what you want to be demonstrated. You want somebody who can speak about the various competencies of your personality. So in one way, potentially, maybe I would write to Victoria and say, can you comment on my ability as a presenter and public speaking? So she can write about that, but she cannot like give me any commentary when she's writing a letter of recommendation for me to say what I do when I am in my, communication for my day-to-day job, right? Whether I'm able to handle or work with a database or work on projects. You can only comment on this aspect. So that's why you pick different recommenders who can comment on different aspects of your competencies, but you also want to find them in different stages. So somebody who is a recent graduate, yes, you can get your faculty member and professor to write you a letter, but if you've graduated and it's been a few years, then I would suggest get them from your professional network.
Thank you. Another question is about which is the most popular program in the uni?
Business analytics has been an interesting choice for everybody, I think, because it's applicable in every industry. But again, I want to caution you, not everybody is suited for business analytics, right? Some people may not have the interest in learning the programming languages that are required for business analytics, but they might just like to use the program. So you want to really look into whether the career goal that you are, aspiring towards, the professional goal, which is the degree that will take you there. So don't just go with popular opinion or popular interest. I've seen a change over the years when the Whitman School of Management was established. Our flagship specialization was supply chain management, and it still continues to be. But over the years, especially in the most recent, within the last 3 to 5 years, I have seen entrepreneurship take center stage. So it really depends on the student's interest and what drives, the direction of where the popular program in the school sort of gains recognition. It's more based on student interest. So if you go on our LinkedIn pages and watch the school, you will see a lot of my current MBA students competing in various business plan competitions and earning seed money because suddenly we've had a whole crop of entrepreneurs show up. So it really depends on your particular interest. So that's what I would advise you to choose your program on based on your interest and trajectory.
Thank you. Another question is about because we have many questions, so I'm going to
Sure.
find one different one. In your opinion, which program has the most successful field of study?
Again, that's related to what I just said, because you can take, how do I want to answer this? Let me try a different way of presenting this content. So there are some specific specializations that we offer at our school. Don't try to fit your aspirations to suit our programs. If you find a different program, then that's up to you to inquire about that program and that institution. But if you come to us, the specializations that we offer, it has to resonate with you because that's the only way we can have a reciprocal relationship. It's not just, I want students to come into my programs. I also want you to be successful in my program. If it's not going to resonate with you and you're just going to come in to do a program like, I'll go to school, I'll take a class, whatever. No, it's not going to advance you. So remember, the purpose of a graduate degree is to advance you from where you are to where you want to go. And if you think you find a synergy with our programs, then yes, You put in the effort, you learn the content. Earning the degree is one thing. Maintaining your GPA is one thing. But what's the unwritten side of it? The unwritten side is how well you utilize your time at the school to network, to learn soft skills, to do things which are not meant for credit, right? So those are the things you have to figure out. So once you have the combination of the two, then yes, you can be successful in whichever program specialization that you choose. But finding that fit as to what resonates most closely with you and what you are seeking is very important. So self-introspection, I think, is the first step.
Thank you. Another question is about where do most of your international students come from?
Oh, this is a good one. So every year it changes. So lately, in the last 3 years, I want to say we're getting a lot of students, a lot of interest from West Africa. Initially, it was a lot of Nigerian students. We do have quite a few Nigerian students, especially for MBA. But then we are seeing more interest coming from Ghana, from Rwanda, and a lot of other countries in Africa. But then we've also had interest from India, South Asia, Pakistan, Bangladesh has been a newer emerging market. Southeast Asia, we have had Indonesian students, Vietnamese. I was just in Taiwan last week and met with a bunch of alumni. So that is another region of interest. So it really depends. We've had students from all over the world, actually. A lot of Eastern Europe. We've had students from Kosovo, from the Republic of Georgia, Turkmenistan. Trying to think who else. From Latin America, we've had Nicaragua. We've had, I think we had a Costa Rican student at one point. Brazil. So it really depends. Yeah, right now I have a student from Brazil in the MS in Finance program. So I'm trying to quickly go through my, the names in my head and countries. But essentially, yeah, a lot of students, they come from across the globe, which is why doing a session like this for a global audience usually makes sense. And I don't go into too many country-specific details, but yes, we welcome people from all over the globe.
Thank you. A related question is, how much do you think a foreign student should calculate to spend per month, considering the location?
Question. It really depends on your lifestyle, right? How frugal your lifestyle is or how luxurious your lifestyle is. So I would say, when you look at the cost of attendance on the Whitman page, maybe this is a good time to share the website, navigating the website. What do you think? Okay. So let me just share my screen and take you through the website. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is the Whitman.syracuse.edu. This brings you to the Whitman School's website. And this is my favorite tagline, of course, be Orange, be Whitman. You can see up here to navigate the site, you either go into undergraduate or graduate or faculty work. So I would say go into graduate and you will see this page where on the right side, you have all these important links, application requirements for MBA, application requirements for master's, and then you scroll down here, and this is what is important for you. So you want to look at full-time MBA program to understand about the MBA, or the full-time MS programs to get to all the other MS programs. So when you come into full-time MS, it will take you down here with more information, and down here where you have the specializations. Okay, so depending on whichever specialization you want, you can calculate, go to that particular page. But to go back to the financial aid question and then the cost breakdown. So here is a link that will take you to the cost breakdown and the housing. And you want to, like I said, for 24-25, fall 24, spring 25, the cost is $19.45 per credit. So cost of attendance for international graduate students, this is the link you would go to. There is, of course, information about off-campus housing and all of that down here, but let's go to international graduate students. Are you able to see this page, Victoria?
Yes.
International costs, okay. So when you go down here, you want to be careful you're going to graduate costs, not undergrad costs. So when you go to graduate costs, let's see, I haven't been on this page in a while, so where is it? So graduate main campus, and this will bring you to this section. I want to caution you here. It says the following cost of attendance is based on enrollment of 18 credits for the academic year. Remember, I said 9 credits constitute full-time study. So if it is 9 and 9, fall and spring, then it's 18 credits for 1 year. But if you're an MBA student, you will be doing 30 credits per year. So it's not 18, you have to tag on another 12, all right? But if you did 18, 1945 per credit times 18 credits, roughly about 35K. Housing and food, it gives you a little understanding. This is for the whole year. Keep in mind, you're not spending 15,000 per month. Hopefully not. Your course materials, these might be less than $1,000 because typically, at least for our programs, your faculty members will provide access to you for all the course materials, whatever articles they're sharing and content they're sharing through our learning platform, Blackboard. Transportation, this might be depending on where you live. So if you're living in walking distance, you're not going to be spending anything on transportation because you're not paying yourself to walk, right?
Okay.
But if you're going to take the bus, there might be a small amount that you would have to pay for your what should I say, ID pass for the bus. But in certain areas around Syracuse University that is serviced by the trolley, I believe you can just show your SUID and you travel for free to come to campus. So it again, everything depends on your personal aspect. So you would have to demonstrate, though, for the purposes of receiving your I-20, this is the amount you would have to demonstrate minus whatever scholarship you receive. Because the scholarship can be applied only towards tuition. Okay, so I think this gives you an idea how to navigate the site and come up here. The other thing I will show you on this site when you are going back to the main page for graduate, whether it's MBA or master's, I would say always look at this application requirements and go to this application checklist. So you have your deadlines over here, but when you go into the application checklist, here is the checklist again provided to you, and details of every component are explained over here. So you should be able to see all of this. And I would say, visit that, read it, understand it thoroughly before you prepare an application and submit. When you are ready to apply, you can hit this apply button and it will bring you to this page. And depending on the program you choose, so if you're applying for full-time MBA, you would hit apply now here, and then it will take you to another page where you would create your account. And then you can log in. So that's the application portal. If you're doing the master's programs, then you would come down here. Be careful, don't go into the online component. Then that's the wrong application you're filling out. Okay, so
thank you very much, because I think it's very useful for everyone to know where they can find all the info they might need. And also because I think sometimes it's very difficult to do this type of things because you have different feelings and you also are scared of failing.
Yeah, and it's usual, like, if you're looking at multiple websites, it can get very overwhelming. Like, where did I see this? Where did I see that? And so then you can't keep track of stuff. So I think it's important. I know students go to a lot of forums and other online, chatter, wherever they get their information from. But I would say always go back to the university's page and then navigate from there, because that's going to be the best bet. Any updates that we have, if we're going to offer something new, if we're offering a new deadline, extending a deadline, everything will get updated on the website. So I would say always go back to the website. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Shri. I would like to remind everyone that in the next few days, you are going to receive this webinar by video, because you are going to receive the registration of this webinar and additional material, and also the context in order to continue to ask your question directly to some people who are here for you to answer. And now I'm going to send in the chat a link in order to get the certificate of attendance of the webinar.
Sure.
Okay, I would like to thank you everyone to be here with us today. I'm not sure in which part of the world you are, but thank you very much. And I also would like to thank Shri for your interesting presentation, and also for having this fantastic experience of navigate the website with a person who really know how to do it, because really know the website.
Thank you. So I've just dropped my information, my email information in the chat box as well. Thank you for attending today, and it's always a pleasure to collaborate with Doxity. This is not my first webinar with you guys, but there's a reason why we keep coming back and working with each other. So, I welcome any questions that students might have. My only request to you is, when you write to me, please reference this session, so I know which session I met you at, or rather which one you attended. So just maybe in the subject line, you could say Doxity November 6th webinar, something like that. So it triggers something for me to say that you came from this session, just so that it also helps me track which one of my information sessions is getting a lot of attention. so I can continue to do more of those. So yeah, thank you again, and hope everybody has a good evening, good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. And thanks again, Vittoria. So pleasure to be here.
Oh, sorry, one
Thank you
second,
very much.
because I read that you only shared your link with me, so
Oh,
I'm
I
going to
see.
share everyone.
Oh, sorry.
Perfect.
Okay.
And
There we go.
thank you to everyone, and have a good day or evening.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Here. Bye-bye.